The espresso machine hissed like an angry serpent, steam rising in wispy tendrils that disappeared into the dim lighting of Trattoria Bella. I wiped my damp hands on the black apron tied around my waist, my omega scent carefully suppressed by the industrial-strength suppressants I took religiously. Fourth double shift this week. The exhaustion showed in the dark circles under my eyes, the slight tremor in my hands as I balanced plates. My name is Felix. I'm 24. And I'm an omega trying to survive in a city that eats people like me alive. Order up! Marco, the head chef, not to be confused with the customer I'd soon meet, slammed the bell with unnecessary force. I loaded my arms with practiced precision, the weight familiar after 3 years of serving Chicago's elite. The restaurant smelled of garlic, wine, os and alpha pheromones from businessmen who thought their tips were generous when they barely covered my suppressant prescriptions. That's when I first noticed them. 3 men in the corner booth, the one reserved for VIPs. I hadn't seen anyone escort them there, but suddenly they were just present. Identical triplets, all alpha. The scent hit me even through my suppressants, cedar, leather, and something darker. Dangerous. My omega instincts screamed at me to submit, to lower my eyes, to show my throat. I gritted my teeth and ignored every biological impulse. The one in the middle caught my attention first. Perfectly tailored suit, dark hair slicked back, a gold signet ring catching the light. He radiated authority like other people radiate heat. The one on the left was slightly more relaxed, his suit jacket unbuttoned. Kerpudit, a faint smile playing at his lips as he studied the wine list. The one on the right sat still as a statue, eyes scanning the restaurant like he was cataloging every exit, every threat, every weakness. Triplet alphas, rare, powerful, terrifying. "They've been waiting 15 minutes!" hissed Diane, the senior server who never let me forget I was one mistake away from unemployment. "Stop staring and serve them." I approached with my heart inexplicably racing, my omega side hyper-aware of their combined presence. "Good evening, sirs. Welcome to Trattoria Bella." My voice came out steadier than I felt. "Can I start you with drinks?" The middle one looked up and I forgot how to breathe. His eyes were amber gold, watching me with predatory intensity, sharp features, a jaw that could cut glass, and an expression that suggested he was used to getting exactly what he wanted. "Brunello," he said, his voice deep and commanding. "Your oldest vintage." Italian accent. Subtle, but unmistakable. "I'm sorry, sir. I'll need to check with Marco, our chef, if we have that available tonight." "Tell him," the one on the left said, his voice smoother, almost playful. "It's for the Moretti brothers." The name rippled through the restaurant. I noticed conversations quieting, staff members suddenly finding reasons to busy themselves elsewhere. I didn't know who the Moretti brothers were, but clearly everyone else did. Marco intercepted me before I reached the bar, his face pale. "Whatever they want, they get," he said, gripping my arm. "Best service. Don't stare. Don't ask questions. Who are they?" His laugh held no humor. "People who could buy this entire block and turn it to ash without blinking. Just serve them and keep your head down." I returned with wine that cost more than my monthly rent, pouring with hands that trembled despite my best efforts. When my fingers brushed the middle brother's hand as I set down his glass, electricity shot through me. My suppressants flickered for just a moment, letting a hint of my omega scent escape. All 3 of them went still. The middle one's nostrils flared slightly. His eyes darkened. "Thank you," he said, his gaze dropping to my name tag. "Felix." The way he said my name, like he was tasting it, claiming it, sent shivers down my spine. "Just Felix is fine," I said quickly. "I prefer your full name." The one on the right spoke for the first time, his voice colder, more controlled. It suits you." I didn't correct them. Something told me arguing with these men was a very bad idea. The rest of my shift passed in a haze. No matter which table I served, my attention kept drifting back to the corner booth where the Moretti brothers sat, speaking in low Italian, occasionally answering phones with terse commands. Twice men in dark suits entered, spoke briefly with them, and left without ordering. By 11 p.m., the restaurant had emptied, except for their table. Marco had already sent most of the staff home, but insisted I stay until our guests decided to leave. I was wiping down tables when the front door burst open. 3 men stumbled in, drunk and loud, their alpha pheromones aggressive and uncontrolled. "Kitchen's closed," I said automatically, moving to block their path. "We don't want food." "Pretty omega," the tallest one grinned, revealing gold teeth. "Just some conversation." My suppressants couldn't hide the spike of fear in my scent. "I'm sorry, but we're closing. You need to leave." The second one, wearing too much cologne and aggression, stepped closer. "Don't be like that. We just want to talk." Marco emerged from the kitchen. "Gentlemen, please, we're closed." "Shut up, old man." I took an instinctive step backward, my Omega instinct screaming danger. "Leave." The single word cut through the tension like a blade. The middle Moretti brother, I still didn't know their individual names, hadn't raised his voice, hadn't even stood. But the command in that one word was absolute. The drunk alphas finally seemed to notice the three men in the corner. Their bloodshot eyes widened. "Mind your business," Goldtooth said, though with noticeably less confidence. In one fluid motion, the middle brother stood, revealing his full height and the predatory grace of an apex predator. I won't repeat myself. What happened next occurred in seconds. Goldtooth reached inside his jacket. Metal glinted in the dim light. A gun. My body moved before my brain could catch up. Years of protecting my younger brother from our abusive alpha father triggered an instinctive response. I lunged forward, shoving the middle Moretti brother aside just as a deafening crack split the air. Fire erupted in my shoulder. White-hot pain stole my breath. I stumbled backward, hitting the floor hard. The ceiling spun above me as warmth spread across my chest. More gunshots. 3 in rapid succession. Shouting. Running footsteps. Through it all, I remained strangely detached, watching red bloom across my white shirt with academic interest. My suppressants shattered completely under the trauma, my Omega scent flooding the air, fear, pain, and something else. Something that called to alphas on a primal level. Then a face appeared above me. The middle brother, his features transformed by a rage so pure it seemed to radiate heat. Gone was the controlled businessman, replaced by something ancient and terrifying. He barked orders in Italian, his hands now stained with my blood, cradling my face with incongruous gentleness. "Felix," he said, my name a prayer and a curse simultaneously. "Why would you do that, stupid, brave Omega?" I tried to answer but could only cough, tasting copper. "Don't speak." His thumb brushed my cheekbone. Alpha pheromones washed over me, trying to soothe, to comfort. "Help is coming. Stay with me." The other 2 brothers appeared, their faces mirrors of fury and concern. "He's losing too much blood," one of them said. "The car. Now." The middle brother's voice cracked with something that might have been fear. "Antonio's waiting at the house. We can't move him." I said now. The last thing I registered before darkness claimed me was being lifted into strong arms, the overwhelming scent of alpha surrounding me like a blanket, and a whispered promise in Italian that I didn't understand but felt in my bones. Then nothing. I drifted through fragments of consciousness like scattered puzzle pieces. Bright lights, urgent voices, the antiseptic smell of medical equipment. Pain ebbed and flowed, sometimes distant, sometimes so sharp it jolted me from comfortable darkness. Through it all, one constant remained, the sensation of someone holding my hand, a warm anchor in a sea of confusion. When I finally opened my eyes fully, sunlight filtered through expensive curtains, casting soft shadows across unfamiliar walls. This wasn't a hospital, at least not like any I'd seen. The room was massive, with high ceilings and what looked like genuine artwork on the walls. Fresh flowers perfumed the air. Medical equipment beeped softly nearby, but it was all top of the line. Nothing like the dated machines in public hospitals. "You're awake." I turned my head, even that small movement sending pain across my shoulder, to find one of the Moretti brothers sitting beside the bed, the one who'd been on the left, the one with a slight smile. He'd exchanged his suit for dark jeans and a simple black shirt, its sleeves rolled to reveal muscular forearms. "Where am I?" My voice emerged as a rasp, throat desert dry. He reached for water, holding the glass to my lips with surprising gentleness for an alpha of his size. "My home. Private medical wing." I sipped gratefully, trying to process his words. "Private medical wing. In your house." A ghost of a smile touched his lips. "When you need medical attention as often as we do, it becomes necessary." I remembered the gunshots, the drunk alphas. "The men who came in are no longer a concern." His expression hardened. "One is dead. The others will wish they were." The chill that swept through me should have been horror. Instead, I felt only relief. What did that say about me? How long have I been here? 3 days? His jaw tightened. "You lost significant blood. The bullet missed major arteries but damaged muscle tissue. Antonio, our doctor, says you were lucky." Lucky wasn't the word I'd choose. I tried to sit up, gasping as pain lanced through my shoulder. Instantly, his hands were there, supporting me with surprising gentleness, arranging pillows behind my back. Strong alpha hands, careful not to hurt me. You need to rest, he said, face uncomfortably close to mine. Recovery will take time. I need to call work, I said, panic rising. Marco will fire me if I don't show up. His laugh cut me off. Marco won't fire you. The restaurant is closed for renovations, which it desperately needed anyway. The casual way he spoke of closing my workplace sent anxiety through me. I can't afford to lose that job, I whispered. I have rent due. My brother's medication. Your financial concerns are resolved. He said it simply, like commenting on the weather. Your apartment is paid through the year. Your brother's medication is covered. Your mother's debts are settled. I stared at him, unable to process what he was saying. How did he even know about my family, about my mother's gambling debts, about my brother's expensive medications? Why would you do that? Something dangerous flickered in his eyes. You took a bullet, meant for my brother. In our world, that creates a debt that can never truly be repaid. I didn't know who I was saving, I admitted. It was instinct. Precisely why it matters. He leaned forward. Anyone can perform calculated heroics. True character reveals itself in split-second decisions. It's you protected a stranger at risk to yourself. His hand moved to my face, fingertips tracing my cheekbone with a delicacy that belied their strength. Alpha touching Omega. My suppressants were gone. I could feel it. My natural scent was exposed, vulnerable. And he was scenting me. Deliberately. Do you have any idea how rare that is? He asked softly. A discreet knock at the door broke the moment. He straightened immediately, his expression closing. Enter. A man in an impeccable suit stepped in, nodding respectfully, before his eyes flickered to me with undisguised curiosity. Sorry to interrupt, Luca. Nico's here with the information you requested. Luca. So that was his name. I'll be right out. Luca dismissed him with a slight gesture. After the man left, I found my voice. Who are you? Really? He stood, smoothing non-existent wrinkles from his shirt. Rest now. We'll talk more when you're stronger. No. The firmness in my voice surprised us both. I'm lying in your home, apparently indebted to you for things I never asked for. I deserve to know who you are. For a heartbeat, anger flashed across his features. Alpha unused to being challenged. Then he smiled. Genuinely smiled. You're right. You do. He inclined his head slightly. I'm Luca Moretti. My brothers are Dante and Vincenzo. We oversee certain business interests throughout the Midwest. You're in the Mafia? His smile didn't falter. Such an American term. We prefer familia, family. Hysterical laughter bubbled up from my chest, sending fresh pain through my shoulder. I took a bullet for a Mafia boss. 3 Mafia bosses. Technically, when you took a bullet for Dante, Luca corrected. He's the eldest, by 4 minutes. This can't be happening. And yet here we are. He checked his watch. I must attend to some matters. Antonio will check on you shortly. Nico will be outside your door if you need anything. Wait, I called as he reached the door. When can I go home? He paused, shoulders tensing. When it's safe. Safe from what? He turned, expression unreadable. The men who came to the restaurant weren't random drunks, Felix. They were sent by someone who wants us dead. Someone who now knows your face and your scent. Cold dread settled in my stomach. Because I helped you. Because you saved one of us. His voice softened. And in doing so, you placed yourself in a game with rules you don't understand and players who won't hesitate to use an Omega against us. I never asked to be part of your world. Few do. His smile held no humor now. Yet here you are, regardless. After he left, I sank back against the pillows, mind racing. Outside my window lay a manicured garden surrounded by high stone walls. Beyond those walls was my life, modest and struggling, but mine. Somehow, I knew returning to it wouldn't be simple. Over the next week, I learned the rhythms of my new existence. Antonio, a kind beta doctor who'd clearly seen his share of gunshot wounds, visited twice daily to check my healing. The bullet had been removed successfully, but rebuilding muscle strength would take time. Nico, the nephew who served as head of security, was a constant presence. Yuki younger than the triplets, maybe mid-20s, with the same dark hair and sharp features. He treated me with cautious respect, like I was something valuable and potentially dangerous. The staff, all wearing small pins or rings marking them as Moretti family, provided everything I needed before I could ask. Fresh clothes in my exact size, meals tailored to my omega nutritional needs, books, music, anything to pass the time. But I only saw Luca during those first days. Neither Dante nor Vincenzo appeared, though I often heard their voices in the hallway, speaking in rapid Italian. On the 8th day, everything changed. I was finally allowed out of bed for short periods. I'd made it to the window seat looking out at the garden when my door opened without a knock. The middle brother entered, Dante. I recognized him from the restaurant, the one I'd pushed aside, the one who'd held me while I bled. He was bigger than Luca, not taller, but broader, more muscular. His suit couldn't quite hide the predatory build beneath, and his scent, pure alpha dominance mixed with something warmer, protective. Felix. He said my name like he'd been practicing it. I'm Dante Moretti. I started to stand, but he crossed the room in 3 long strides and gently pushed me back down. Don't. You shouldn't strain yourself. His hands on my shoulders sent heat through me, alpha touching omega. My biology screamed at me to submit, to tilt my head, to expose my throat. I fought every instinct. You haven't visited before, I said, proud that my voice didn't shake. Something flickered in his eyes. I didn't trust myself to. What does that mean? He sat on the window seat beside me, close enough that I could feel his body heat, smell his scent, stronger now, laced with something that made my omega purr internally. It means, he said carefully, that you took a bullet meant for me. You saved my life, and my alpha wants to claim you for it. My breath caught. Claim me? Mark you. Bond you. Keep you. His eyes met mine, amber gold and burning with intensity. Make you ours. I'm not anyone's to claim. No? His hand moved to my face, cupping my jaw with surprising gentleness. Then why can I still smell your blood in my clothes? Why do I see your face every time I close my eyes? Why has my alpha been demanding I come to you every second of every day since you fell? I couldn't answer, could barely breathe. I stayed away, he continued, voice rough, because I knew if I saw you again I'd want to keep you, and that's not fair to you. You saved my life out of instinct, not because you wanted to be bound to 3 alphas. 3, not just him. Luca and Vincenzo feel the same way? His smile was predatory. Worse. Vincenzo wanted to bond you while you were unconscious. Luca's been negotiating with your landlord to buy your building, and He leaned closer. I've been planning how to convince you to stay. I don't want to be kept like a pet. No. He pulled back slightly. You'd never be a pet. You'd be ours. Our omega. Protected. Cherished. Wanted. I don't even know you. Then get to know us. His thumb brushed my lower lip. Stay. Not as a prisoner. As our guest. Let us court you properly. And when you're healed, if you want to leave, we'll let you go. You'd really let me leave? His expression darkened. I'd hate every second of it. My alpha would rage, but yes, your choice matters more than our wants. The honesty in his voice did something to me. Cracked something open. What if your enemies come after me? They won't get the chance. His voice turned cold. Salvatore, the one who sent those men, is already being dealt with. By the time you're healed, he won't be a threat to anyone. The casual way he referenced killing someone should have terrified me. Instead, I felt safe. I'll stay, I heard myself say. For now. To heal. And to get to know you. All of you. Dante's smile transformed his face. Good. Because Vincenzo's been threatening to break down your door if I didn't bring back a positive answer. That evening, I met the 3rd brother formally. Vincenzo entered my room like he owned it, which technically he did, carrying a tray of food that smelled incredible. Luca says you haven't been eating enough, he said by way of greeting. Antonio is concerned, so I cooked. He set the tray on my lap. Homemade pasta, fresh bread, a delicate salad. You cook? Someone has to keep these idiots fed. He settled into the chair Luca had occupied days before. I'm Vincenzo, the youngest, by 6 minutes. Where Dante was raw power and Luca was smooth charm, Vincenzo was intense, quieter, watchful. His scent was different too. Less aggressive, more subtle. But underneath lurked something dangerous. Thank you, I said, taking a bite of the pasta. It was incredible. This is amazing. Family recipe. He watched me eat with those same amber gold eyes all 3 brothers shared. Our mother taught me before she died. I'm sorry. He shrugged. It was a long time ago. We were children. Silence fell as I ate. But it wasn't uncomfortable. Vincenzo seemed content to simply be there. Why did you stay away? I asked finally. Like Dante did? Because I knew I'd scare you. He leaned forward, elbows on knees. Dante wants to protect you. Luca wants to charm you. But me? His eyes darkened. I just want to keep you. Lock you in this room where nothing can ever hurt you. Make sure you never leave. My heart stuttered. That's terrifying. I know. He smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. That's why I stayed away. But I can't anymore. Seeing you, smelling you, knowing you're here, my alpha won't let me stay away. I'm not ready to be bonded. I know. He reached out, taking my hand gently. That's why we're going to court you the right way. Show you who we are. Let you choose us, or not. And if I choose not, pain flickered across his face. Then we'll let you go, and spend the rest of our lives regretting it. Over the following weeks, the brothers took turns courting me. Luca brought me books and debated philosophy with me late into the night. Dante taught me self-defense in the mansion's gym, his hands carefully correcting my stance. Vincenzo cooked elaborate meals and told me stories about their childhood in Sicily. They never pushed, never demanded, just courted. And slowly I found myself falling for Luca's sharp mind and quick wit, for Dante's protective strength and hidden softness, for Vincenzo's quiet intensity and surprising gentleness. My Omega recognized them as pack, as alphas who'd protect, provide, cherish. But my human side still hesitated, because accepting them meant accepting their world, a world of violence and blood and power. 2 months after the shooting, Antonio cleared me for full activity. My shoulder had healed completely, leaving only a small scar, a permanent reminder of the night that changed everything. That evening, Dante called me to their private office. All 3 brothers sat behind a massive desk, looking every inch the dangerous men they were. "Felix," Dante started, "we need to discuss your future." My stomach tightened. "What about it?" "You're healed," Luca said gently, "which means you're free to leave, if you choose. We'd provide protection," Vincenzo added. "A new identity, a new city, enough money to start over." "But we'd never see each other again," I said, already knowing the answer. "It's the only way to keep you safe from our enemies," Dante confirmed, "if you stay connected to us." I looked at each of them. 3 alphas who'd spent 2 months showing me every facet of themselves, the good and the terrible. "What's the alternative?" "You stay," Dante said simply, "permanently, as ours." "We'd bond you," Luca continued, "all 3 of us, make you pack, family." "You'd be protected," Vincenzo finished. "Cherished, loved, and owned," I said quietly. "Never owned," Dante corrected sharply. "Partners, equals, our Omega, yes, but not our possession." I stood walking to the window, looking out at the garden I'd come to love. I'd never see my brother again, my mother. They'd be protected, Luca said, provided for, but no direct contact. It's too dangerous. The price of safety, of love, of choosing them. And if I can't accept your world, the violence, the blood, then we'd respect your decision, Dante said, voice heavy with resignation, and let you go. I turned to face them. 3 identical faces, 3 different expressions of hope and fear. "I don't want to leave," I said, "but I don't know if I can be what you need." "You already are," Vincenzo said. "Brave, strong, loyal, everything we want in an Omega. In a mate," Luca corrected. "In family," Dante finished. I took a deep breath. "Then I'm staying. Not as your employee, not as your guest." I met each of their eyes. "As yours." The bonding ceremony happened 3 days later. Private. Just us and a few witnesses. Traditional Sicilian customs mixed with modern practicality. Each brother bit my neck, Dante first as eldest, then Luca, finally Vincenzo. 3 claiming marks that would scar beautifully, telling the world I was pack. I bit each of them in return, sealing the bond. The connection snapped into place like a lock finding its key. Suddenly I could feel them, their emotions, their presence, their love. It was overwhelming and perfect. That night they made love to me with a tenderness that contradicted every assumption I'd had about alpha mafia bosses, and I finally felt complete. 6 months after the bonding, Salvatore was eliminated. His organization dismantled. The threat to me and my new family erased. Vincenzo told me the details while making dinner. Luca explained the business ramifications. Dante simply held me and promised no one would ever hurt me again. I believed him. A year after taking that bullet, I stood in the same restaurant, completely renovated and under new management. "Remember this?" Dante asked, wrapping his arms around me from behind. "How could I forget?" I leaned into him. I ruined your suit. You saved my life, he corrected. Best decision you ever made. Luca appeared with wine. Debatable. I think agreeing to mate us was her best decision. Technically, I decided that, Vincenzo said, joining us, by cooking that pasta. I laughed, surrounded by my alphas, my pack, my family. I don't regret it, I said. Any of it. Good, Dante murmured against my neck, right over his claiming mark. Because you're stuck with us now. Forever, Luca added. And always, Vincenzo finished. I took a bullet for a stranger, and found 3 soulmates. Not a bad exchange, all things considered. Thank you for being part of this journey. Subscribe for more stories about finding love in unexpected places, about Omega strength and Alpha devotion, about family, chosen and fought for. Until next time, remember, sometimes the most dangerous decision leads to the greatest love. Be brave, be bold, be loved. But let me tell you about the parts I haven't shared yet. The messy, complicated, beautiful parts that made our bond real. The first heat after the bonding was terrifying. I'd been on suppressants my entire adult life, heavy-duty ones that completely suppressed my heat cycles. But Antonio warned me. Bonding with 3 alphas would override any suppressant eventually. He was right. It hit me 3 weeks after the ceremony. I woke up burning, my skin too tight, every nerve ending screaming for my alphas. The bond pulsed with need so intense it hurt. Dante was the first to reach me. His alpha scent flooded the room, and I whimpered, reaching for him desperately. Shh, he soothed, gathering me into his arms. We've got you. We're here. Luca and Vincenzo appeared moments later, their eyes dark with responding need. Felix, Vincenzo's voice was strained. We need your permission. Your heat is calling to our alphas, but we won't touch you without... Please, I gasped. Please, I need... That's all they needed. The next 3 days were a blur of heat and pleasure and overwhelming sensation. They took turns caring for me, never leaving me alone, making sure I ate and drank between bouts of desperate need. Each brother was different in how they handled me during heat. Dante was firm and commanding, taking control when my Omega needed someone to lead. Luca was playful and teasing, distracting me from the pain with laughter and gentle touches. Vincenzo was intense and possessive, whispering promises in Italian while he made me forget my own name. Together, they were perfect. When the heat finally broke, I lay tangled between them, exhausted and sore and happier than I'd ever been. I couldn't find words. Incredible, Luca finished, kissing my shoulder. Intense, Dante added, running fingers through my sweat-damp hair. Ours, Vincenzo murmured against my neck. You're completely ours now. And I was. The bond had solidified during my heat, cementing us together in ways I was still discovering. But it wasn't all romance and passion. There were hard days, too. Days when I wondered if I'd made the right choice. Days when the reality of their world crashed down on me. Like the day I saw Dante kill someone. It was an accident. I wasn't supposed to be there. But I'd wandered into the wrong room at the wrong time and seen him put a bullet in a man's head without hesitation. The man had betrayed them. Had sold information to Salvatore that nearly got Nico killed. But watching the life leave someone's eyes, seeing Dante's cold expression as he pulled the trigger, it shook me. I ran. Locked myself in our bedroom and tried to process what I'd seen. Dante found me an hour later, still in his blood-spattered shirt, looking tired and sad. I'm sorry you saw that, he said quietly. Did he deserve it? I asked. Does it matter? Yes. He sat on the edge of the bed, not touching me. He sold out our locations, our safe houses, information that would have gotten Nico killed, that would have gotten you killed, if Salvatore's men had found you. So, you executed him. Yes. The honesty was brutal, but I'd asked for truth. This is your world, I said. Violence, death, blood. Yes. He met my eyes. I told you what we were before you chose us. I won't apologize for protecting our family. I'm not asking you to apologize. I took a shaky breath. I'm asking, can you keep that part of your life away from me? I don't need to see it. I don't want to. Something softened in his expression. I never wanted you to see it. You weren't supposed to be in that wing. I got lost. I know. He finally reached for me, pulling me against his chest. I'll be more careful. Keep business separate. But Felix, he tilted my face up. I can't change who I am, what I do. I'm not asking you to change. I'm asking you to protect me from the worst of it. Always, he promised. You'll never have to see that again. And he kept that promise. They all did. The business side of their empire remained carefully separated from our home life. I knew it existed, knew they made decisions that involved violence and questionable legality, but I didn't have to witness it. It was a compromise I could live with. 3 months after bonding, Nico burst into the breakfast room where we were eating. "Salvatore's men grabbed your brother," he said without preamble. The world stopped. "What?" I whispered. Dante was already moving, phone to his ear, barking orders in Italian. Luca pulled me against him, scenting me, trying to calm my rising panic. Vincenzo's expression went cold and deadly. "Where?" "Warehouse on the south side," Nico reported. "They're demanding the Moretti brothers in exchange." "No," I said immediately. "You can't. We're not giving them anything," Dante interrupted, his voice hard. "Felix, how much does your brother know about us?" I tried to think through my panic. Nothing. I never told him. He thinks I work as an assistant for wealthy clients. Good. Dante hung up the phone. That gives us an advantage. "What are you going to do?" I asked. All 3 brothers looked at me with identical expressions of deadly intent. We're going to get him back," Luca said simply. "And then?" I pressed. "And then," Vincenzo said coldly, "we're going to end Salvatore. Permanently." They wouldn't let me come. Kept me at the mansion under heavy guard while they went to rescue my brother. The wait was agonizing. I paced the length of our bedroom, feeling the bond pulse with distance and danger and determination. Antonio stayed with me, his calm presence the only thing keeping me from falling apart. "They'll bring him back safely," he assured me. "The Moretti brothers don't fail." "But what if—" "No what-ifs." He squeezed my shoulder. "Have faith in your mates." 4 hours later, they returned. My brother, pale and shaken but alive, walked between Dante and Nico. He had a black eye and split lip, but otherwise seemed unharmed. "Sure. Felix!" He ran to me the moment he saw me, and I caught him in a fierce hug. "Are you okay? Did they hurt you?" "I'm fine. They just grabbed me off the street and threw me in a van." He pulled back, looking around at the mansion with wide eyes. "What the hell is going on? Who are these people?" I glanced at Dante, uncertain how much to say. He nodded. "Permission." "They're my mates," I said carefully. "The people I work for, live with." My brother's eyes went wider. "Mates? You bonded? With alphas? 3 of them? It's complicated." "No shit, it's complicated." He looked at the brothers. "Who the hell are you people?" "Protection," Luca said smoothly. "Your sister saved our lives. We're returning the favor." It wasn't exactly a lie, just not the whole truth. My brother stayed at the mansion for 3 days while Antonio checked him over and made sure he had no lasting injuries. During that time, Dante, Luca, and Vincenzo disappeared for long hours, handling Salvatore, I assumed, ending the threat. I didn't ask for details. Didn't want them. On the 4th day, my brother pulled me aside. "Felix, you need to tell me what's really going on." I looked at him. My baby brother, now 20 years old and too smart for his own good. "The truth?" I took a deep breath. "They're Mafia. Powerful, dangerous, and absolutely lethal when protecting what's theirs." He paled. "And you're theirs." "Yes." "By choice?" I thought about it. Really thought about it. "Yes. By choice." "Are you safe?" "Safer than I've ever been." He studied my face for a long moment. "You love them?" "Yes." "All 3? "Yes." He shook his head. "Mom's going to freak when she finds out." "She won't find out. For her safety and yours, you can't tell anyone about this. About me. About them. Felix. Please." I grabbed his hands. "I'm asking you to trust me. To keep this secret. Your life depends on it. Mom's life depends on it." He was quiet for a long time. Then, "Okay, I'll keep your secret. But Felix?" "Yeah?" "If they ever hurt you, if you ever need out, you call me. I don't care how dangerous they are. I'll come for you." Tears burned my eyes. "I know, but I won't need it. They'd die before hurting me." "Good," he said fiercely. "Because if they don't, I'll kill them myself." I hugged him tightly, grateful for his protection even though I didn't need it. The brothers arranged for him to be relocated to a different college, paid his tuition, his housing, everything, set up a cover story about a scholarship. My mother got the same treatment, relocated to a nice facility in Arizona where her debts were paid and her care was comprehensive, both of them safe, protected, unaware of the real reason for their sudden good fortune. It was the best I could hope for. Salvatore's death was announced a week later, a car accident, very tragic, very convenient. I knew it was no accident. Knew my mates had orchestrated every detail, but I said nothing. Just held them tighter that night and thanked them for protecting my family. Always, Dante promised. Your family is our family now. 6 months post-bonding, they took me to Italy, to their ancestral home in Sicily, in a sprawling villa overlooking the Mediterranean, with gardens that had been maintained for generations. This is where we grew up, Luca explained as we walked through rooms filled with history, where our father ruled before us. And your mother? She's buried in the family cemetery, Vincenzo said quietly. Would you like to meet her? We spent an afternoon at her grave, the brothers telling me stories about the woman who'd raised 3 alpha sons alone after their father's death. She sounded fierce, strong, everything I aspired to be. She would have loved you, Dante said, pulling me against his side. An Omega brave enough to take a bullet for her son? She'd have claimed you herself. That night they made love to me in the bed they'd been conceived in, marking me with their scent, their touch, their love, claiming me in their ancestral home, making me pack in the deepest sense. I fell asleep between them, the bond pulsing with contentment, and dreamed of a future filled with more than just survival. Dreamed of a family, which is why 2 months after Italy, I wasn't entirely surprised when Antonio confirmed what I'd suspected. You're pregnant, he said, smiling. About 8 weeks along. I stared at the test results, my hand automatically going to my stomach. A baby. Our baby. The brothers' reactions were everything I could have hoped for. Dante picked me up and spun me around despite my protests about being careful. Luca cried openly, kissing my stomach and whispering promises to our child. Vincenzo went still and silent, then pulled me into the tightest hug of my life. Thank you, he whispered against my hair. Thank you for choosing us, for giving us this. We're having a baby, I said, still trying to process it. We're having a family, Dante corrected. And we were. Our daughter was born 9 months later. A perfect blend of all of us. Dark hair from her father's, my eyes, and the Moretti stubborn streak times 4. We named her Isabella, after their mother. Holding her for the first time, watching my 3 alphas crowd around us with expressions of wonder and fierce protectiveness, I knew I'd made the right choice. Taking that bullet had changed everything. It had given me a family, a purpose, a home, and 3 alphas who loved me with an intensity that still took my breath away. 5 years after that night in the restaurant, I stood in the same corner booth where the Moretti brothers had sat. The restaurant was under new ownership now. Ours. Isabella chased her younger brother, born 2 years after her, through the tables, their laughter filling the space. Remember this? Dante asked, wrapping his arms around me from behind. How could I forget? I leaned into him. I ruined your suit. You saved my life, he corrected. Best decision you ever made. Luca appeared with wine. Debatable. I think agreeing to mate us was her best decision. Technically, I decided that, Vincenzo said, catching Isabella as she ran past. By cooking that pasta. I laughed, surrounded by my alphas, my children, my family. I don't regret it, I said. Any of it. Good, Dante murmured against my neck, right over his claiming mark. Because you're stuck with us now? Forever, Luca added. And always, Vincenzo finished. I took a bullet for strangers and found 3 soulmates. Not a bad exchange, all things considered. Thank you for being part of this journey from that first terrifying night to this moment of complete happiness. If this story moved you, subscribe for more tales of Omega strength, alpha devotion, and found family. Until next time, remember, sometimes the most dangerous decision leads to the greatest love. Sometimes protecting a stranger changes everything. Be brave, be bold, be loved. But before all of that, before the heat, before the children, before the happy ending, there were moments I haven't told you about yet. Moments that built the foundation of everything we became. Let me take you back to those early weeks, when I was still healing, still deciding, still terrified of what loving them might mean. Week 2 in the mansion. My shoulder still ached, but I could move around. Antonio had cleared me for short walks through the grounds. Vincenzo found me in the garden one afternoon, staring at the roses. They were my mother's favorite, he said, appearing beside me so silently I jumped. Sorry, didn't mean to startle you. It's fine. I gestured to the flowers. They're beautiful. She spent hours out here. He touched a red bloom gently. Said that if she could make something beautiful grow in soil watered with blood money, then maybe we weren't entirely damned. The honesty in his voice surprised me. Do you think you're damned? I asked. He looked at me, those amber eyes intense. I think I was until you. Now I think maybe I have a chance at redemption. I'm not your salvation, Vincenzo. No. He stepped closer. You're something better. You're my choice, my future, my reason to want to be better than what I am. My heart stuttered. You barely know me. I know you're brave enough to take a bullet for a stranger. I know you've been supporting your family since you were 16. I know you like your coffee black and you read romance novels when you think no one's watching. Heat crept up my neck. You've been spying on me? Learning you, he corrected. There's a difference, and I want to keep learning. Every day. For the rest of my life if you'll let me. He reached out slowly, giving me time to pull away. When I didn't, his hand cupped my face with devastating gentleness. Give us a chance, he whispered. That's all I'm asking. A real chance. I nodded, unable to find words. He smiled, genuinely smiled, and pressed a kiss to my forehead. Thank you. Week 3, Luca started teaching me Italian. We'd sit in the library, him patient as I butchered pronunciation, me laughing at my own mistakes. No, no, he'd say, lips twitching with amusement. It's ti amo, not mo. You're declaring your love, not summoning a demon. Maybe I'm doing both. He laughed, the sound warm and rich. Fair enough. Try again. By the end of the week, I could say, I love you, in Italian. Could understand when they spoke it to each other. Could feel the bond between us growing stronger with each shared moment. Week 4, Dante started training me. You'll never be helpless again, he said, showing me how to break a hold, how to use an attacker's strength against them. His hands on my body were professional, but sent shivers through me anyway. Alpha scent surrounding me, making my omega purr with approval. What if I don't want to fight? I asked after he'd shown me how to disarm someone with a gun. Then you run. His expression was serious. But I want you to have options. I want you to never feel powerless. Is this because of that night? Because I got shot protecting you? Yes. He pulled me against him, resting his chin on my head. And because the thought of you ever being in danger again makes my alpha insane. So humor me. Learn to protect yourself. I did. Every day. Until I could hold my own in a sparring match, until I knew 10 different ways to escape a hold, until Dante looked at me with pride instead of worry. You're ready, he said one afternoon after I'd successfully taken him down. Ready for what? To choose. To decide if this life, if we, are what you want. That night, all 3 brothers came to my room. They stood there looking uncertain in a way I'd never seen from them before. 3 powerful alphas, nervous about an Omega's decision. We need your answer, Dante said. We can't keep courting you forever. Can't keep pretending we don't want to bond you, claim you, keep you. We're trying to be patient, Luca added, but our alphas are demanding we make you ours. Stay with us, Vincenzo finished. Choose us, or tell us to let you go. I looked at each of them, at the 3 men who'd somehow become my entire world in just 4 weeks. I don't want to leave, I said slowly, but I need to understand something first. Anything, Dante promised. If I choose you, if I bond with you, what happens to me? Do I lose myself? Become just your Omega? Never, Luca said fiercely. You'd be our partner, our equal. You'd have a voice in every decision, Dante added. A say in our business, our lives, everything. You'd be pack, Vincenzo finished. Family, not a possession, never that. I took a deep breath. Then yes, I choose you, all of you. The relief on their faces was palpable. You're sure? Dante asked. Once we bond you, there's no going back. I'm sure. That night they scent-marked me thoroughly. Not a claiming. Not yet, but a promise. Rubbing their wrists against my neck. My wrists, anywhere my scent glands existed. By morning I smelled like all 3 of them. And it felt right. The weeks leading up to the actual bonding ceremony were intense. Salvatore's threats escalated. My apartment building was vandalized. My old co-workers were questioned by his men. Dante, Luca, and Vincenzo tightened security. Moved me to a different wing of the mansion. Kept guards on me, 24/7. He's getting desperate, Nico explained one evening. Knows the window for using you against them is closing. What happens after we bond? I asked. You become untouchable. He smiled grimly. An attack on a bonded mate is an attack on the entire pack. Other families won't tolerate it. Salvatore would face unified retaliation. So, bonding me protects me. Yes. But it also paints a permanent target on your back from anyone who wants to hurt them. The double-edged sword of loving dangerous men. But I'd made my choice. I wasn't backing down. The night before the bonding ceremony, I couldn't sleep. I wandered the mansion halls until I found myself outside Dante's office. Light spilled from under the door. I knocked softly. "Come in." He sat behind his desk, papers spread before him, looking exhausted. "Can't sleep?" he asked, setting down his pen. "Nervous," I admitted. He stood, coming around the desk to pull me into his arms. "About tomorrow? About everything. What if I'm not strong enough for this life? What if I can't handle what comes next? Felix." He tilted my face up. "You took a bullet for me. Stood up to 3 alpha mafia bosses. Learned to fight, to defend yourself, to exist in our world. You're stronger than you know. But what if—" He kissed me. Gentle at first, then deeper, swallowing my doubts. When he pulled back, we were both breathing hard. "Tomorrow," he said softly, "we bond you, make you ours forever. And I promise you, we will spend every day of the rest of our lives making sure you never regret choosing us." "I won't regret it," I whispered. "Good," he smiled. "Because we'd hunt you down if you tried to leave. That's not romantic. It's honest." He kissed me again. "Now go sleep. Tomorrow's a big day." The bonding ceremony was beautiful. We held it in the mansion's garden under the roses Vincenzo's mother had planted. Only close family attended: Nico, Antonio, a few trusted associates. I wore traditional Sicilian bonding clothes, white linen that marked me as an unmated omega about to be claimed. The brothers wore all black, signifying their alpha status and readiness to bond. An elder from their Sicilian family performed the ceremony, speaking in rapid Italian I could only partially understand. But I understood the important parts. When Dante stepped forward first, his eyes locked on mine. "Felix," he said, voice carrying to everyone present, "I claim you as my omega, my mate, my family. I vow to protect you, provide for you, cherish you all the days of my life." Then he bit down on my neck, right where it meets my shoulder, the traditional bonding spot. Pain and pleasure exploded through me. The bond snapped into place, connecting us in ways I'd never imagined possible. I could feel him, his emotions, his alpha satisfaction at claiming me, his love. Luca was next, repeating the vows before biting the other side of my neck. The second bond layered over the first, more complex, more beautiful. Finally, Vincenzo, his hands shaking as he cupped my face. "I've waited my whole life for you," he whispered. "And I'll spend the rest of it proving I'm worthy of you." His bite completed the triad. 3 bonds, weaving together into something unbreakable. I bit each of them in return. Smaller bites, omega to alpha, but just as significant, marking them as mine. When it was done, we stood together, blood on our necks, bonds pulsing with new connection, and I'd never felt more complete. "Familia," the elder announced. "Pack, bonded for life." The celebration afterward was subdued. We were too focused on each other, on the new sensations of the bond, to care about parties. That night in our bedroom, they completed the bonding, made love to me with a reverence that brought tears to my eyes, each claiming me in their own way. Dante powerful and commanding, Luca playful and teasing, Vincenzo intense and possessive. By morning, I was thoroughly marked, thoroughly loved, thoroughly theirs, and I'd never been happier. But happiness in the Mafia world is always temporary. 2 weeks after our bonding, Salvatore made his move. He didn't target me directly. He was smarter than that. Instead, he went after Nico. The attack happened at noon. Broad daylight. A statement: Nico survived. Barely. 3 bullets, massive blood loss, touch and go for days. I sat beside his bed in the medical wing, holding his hand while Antonio worked to save his life. Dante, Luca, and Vincenzo were somewhere in the mansion, planning retaliation. Through the bond, I could feel their rage, their determination, their bloodlust. When Nico finally opened his eyes 3 days later, I was there. "Hey," he croaked. "Did we win?" I laughed through my tears. "You're alive. That's winning enough. The bosses. Planning how to end Salvatore." He smiled weakly. "Good. Make it hurt." Over the next week, I watched my mates transform into something cold and calculating. They didn't hide it from me, didn't pretend to be anything other than what they were. 3 Mafia bosses planning to eliminate a threat. "I need to be there," I said one evening as they reviewed plans. All 3 looked at me like I was insane. "Absolutely not," Dante said. "He hurt our family. I want to see him face justice." "Justice?" Luca's laugh was bitter. "This isn't justice, Felix. This is revenge." "Then I want to see revenge." Vincenzo studied me carefully. "You don't want this? Trust me." I want to understand your world completely. This is part of it. They exchanged looks. Finally, Dante nodded. You can watch, but from a distance. And if I tell you to leave, you leave. Understood? Understood. 3 days later, they brought Salvatore to a warehouse on the outskirts of the city. I watched from an upper office, looking down through one-way glass. Watched as they questioned him. Watched as he spat defiance and threats. Watched as Dante put a gun to his head and pulled the trigger without hesitation. It should have horrified me. Instead, I felt only relief. The threat was gone. My family was safe. When Dante came to get me afterward, blood splattered on his shirt, I didn't flinch. Are you okay? He asked. Are you? He pulled me into his arms. Better now. It's over. He can't hurt us anymore. Good. We left that warehouse and didn't look back. The weeks after were peaceful. Salvatore's organization crumbled without him. Other families stepped back, respecting the Moretti power. My family, my brother and mother, were relocated and protected, safe from any retaliation. And I settled into my new life, learning the business, understanding the network of legal and illegal enterprises my mates controlled. They made me a partner, not just in name but in reality. I had a say in decisions, a voice that mattered. You're good at this, Luca said one afternoon as we reviewed property acquisitions. The business side. I like puzzles. This is just a complicated puzzle, with significantly higher stakes than your average jigsaw. I smiled. Makes it more interesting. That night I found Vincenzo cooking in the kitchen. Need help? I asked. Always. He handed me a knife. Chop those tomatoes? We worked in comfortable silence. This had become our routine, cooking together while we talked about nothing and everything. Do you miss your old life? He asked suddenly. I considered it. Sometimes. It was simpler, easier. But I was alone, struggling. Now I have you, have family, have purpose. No regrets? I looked at him. At this alpha, who'd promised to keep me locked away for my own protection, but instead gave me freedom and choice. No regrets, I confirmed. He kissed me then, soft and sweet and tasting of the pasta sauce he'd been perfecting. Good, he murmured against my lips, because I'm never letting you go. Didn't plan on leaving. And I meant it. This was my life now. My family. My home. Dangerous, complicated, and absolutely perfect. The pregnancy, when it happened, felt like the final piece clicking into place. We'd been bonded for 8 months. Happy, settled, content. I'd been feeling off for a few weeks. Tired, nauseous, emotional. Antonio ran the test without me asking. Congratulations, he said, smiling. You're going to be parents. I stared at the positive result, my hand going to my still flat stomach. A baby. Our baby. The brothers' reactions exceeded every expectation. Dante picked me up carefully, spinning me once before setting me down with exaggerated gentleness. We're having a baby, he kept saying, like he couldn't believe it. Luca dropped to his knees, pressing his ear to my stomach even though I was only 8 weeks along. Hello in there, he whispered. We're your fathers, and we already love you so much. Vincenzo went quiet, just pulled me against him and held on. Thank you, he whispered into my hair. For everything. For choosing us. For giving us this. We made this together, I reminded him. I know. He pulled back to cup my face. But you're the one carrying our child, growing our family. You're amazing. The pregnancy was hard. Omega bodies are designed for it, but carrying a child fathered by 3 alphas took its toll. I was sick constantly, exhausted, emotional beyond reason. But they were there, every step. Dante rubbed my feet every night. Luca researched every pregnancy symptom and solution. Vincenzo cooked elaborate meals designed to tempt my fickle appetite. At 5 months we found out we were having a girl. All 3 alphas cried. A daughter, Dante whispered, his hand on my growing belly. We're having a daughter. She's going to be spoiled, Luca said. Completely. Utterly spoiled. She's going to be protected, Vincenzo corrected. No one will ever hurt her. I smiled, watching them plan our daughter's future. This was my family, my pack, my everything. And I couldn't wait to meet the little life we'd created. Isabella was born on a Tuesday morning after 18 hours of labor. The brothers refused to leave my side, all 3 of them holding my hands, coaching me through contractions, being utterly useless and completely perfect. When she finally arrived, tiny and screaming and absolutely beautiful, they were there, watching as the nurses cleaned her, cutting the cord together, making sure she was healthy and whole. Then Antonio placed her in my arms, and the world stopped. "Hello, baby girl," I whispered. "We've been waiting for you." She had dark hair like her father's, my nose. Ma, and when she finally opened her eyes, they were amber gold. Moretti eyes. "She's perfect," Dante breathed, touching her tiny hand. "She's ours," Luca added, tears streaming down his face. "She's family," Vincenzo finished, kissing my forehead. "We named her Isabella, after the mother who'd raised 3 boys alone and taught them the value of family. And watching my mates with our daughter, these dangerous, deadly men reduced to puddles of mush by a 6-pound infant, I knew we'd done something right. 2 years later, our son was born. Easier labor this time, faster, like he was impatient to meet his family. We named him Marco, after Vincenzo's fallen friend, after the chef who'd first told me to serve the Moretti brothers, and our family was complete. Now, 5 years after that night in the restaurant, so I stand in our home surrounded by the life we've built. The children playing, the brothers working, the family thriving. This is what protection bought me. What taking a bullet earned. Not just safety, not just security, but love. Real, messy, complicated, beautiful love. With 3 alphas who'd burn the world for me, who'd kill to keep me safe, who'd die before letting me go. And I'd do it all again. Every terrifying moment, every dangerous choice, every step that led me here. Because this, my mates, my children, my family, is worth everything. Thank you for witnessing this journey from first meeting to forever family, for being part of Felix and the Moretti brothers' story. If this moved you, share it. Let others know that sometimes love finds you in the most unexpected places, that family isn't always blood, or that protection can become devotion. Until next time, remember, be brave enough to take the bullet, be strong enough to choose love, be bold enough to build a family worth fighting for. Always. One more thing before I close this chapter of our story. Last month, on the 5-year anniversary of the night I took that bullet, the brothers surprised me. They'd recreated Trattoria Bella in our home, the exact corner booth, the same wine, even the same espresso machine I'd used. "What is this?" I asked, walking into the transformed dining room. "A reminder," Dante said, pulling out a chair for me. "Of what?" "Of how lucky we are," Luca answered, pouring wine. "That you were working that night. That you were brave enough to act. That you chose us." Vincenzo brought out plates of food. All my favorites. All made with love. "Every year," he said, sitting beside me, "we're going to celebrate this night. Not the violence, not the danger, but the moment that brought us together." "You were shot because of me," Dante said quietly. "You almost died saving my life. And instead of running, instead of choosing safety, you chose us. We don't take that lightly. We never will," Luca added. I looked at each of them, at the 3 men who'd become my entire world, my mates, my partners, my family. "I'd do it again," I said, in a heartbeat, without hesitation. "We know," Vincenzo smiled. "That's why we love you." That night, after the children were asleep, after the celebration ended, I stood in our bathroom looking at the scars, the bullet wound on my shoulder, faded but permanent, the 3 claiming bites on my neck, healed into beautiful marks. Evidence of violence and love intertwined. My Omega body had carried 2 children. My Omega heart had bonded with 3 alphas. My Omega spirit had survived a world that should have broken me, but I wasn't broken. I was whole, complete, exactly where I belonged. Dante appeared behind me in the mirror, wrapping his arms around my waist. "What are you thinking about?" "How far we've come. How different my life is now." "Better or worse?" he asked, though I could feel through the bond that he already knew the answer. "Better." I leaned back against him. "So much better." Luca and Vincenzo joined us, surrounding me with their warmth, their scent, their love. "Happy anniversary, amore," Luca whispered. "To the bravest Omega we've ever met," Vincenzo added. "To family," Dante finished. And standing there, surrounded by my mates, marked by our love, I knew one truth absolutely. Taking that bullet was the best decision I ever made, because it didn't just save 1 life, it created 5 new ones. And that was worth everything. This is Felix Moretti, signing off. Omega, mate, father, survivor. Living proof that sometimes the most terrifying moments lead to the greatest love, that protection can become devotion, that family is worth every risk. Subscribe for more stories of Omega strength and Alpha devotion, of found family and chosen love. Until next time, remember, be brave enough to take the leap. Be strong enough to choose love. Be bold enough to build something worth protecting, always and forever. Familia.